mentoring people, urgency inside the prospect to get them to take action. So let's start by talking about it. Like the nightmare stage is the final part of a well-crafted sales process. It should be, even a light version, it should be in every single sales call. It allows us to calculate the cost of inaction. Cost of inaction is what are they missing out by not taking action. And it results in them, the prospect, telling themselves, selling to themselves that their current process or their current circumstances are no longer working. Like they literally can't go on by not making a change. Why is this important? It's important because people change more easily through avoidance of pain rather than the promise of pleasure. I'm going to say it again. We can promise pleasure all day that everyone's going to achieve amazing things, but we will take massive action towards not losing something we already have. Like I can tell someone, hey, take this action and you're going to make 5,000 next month. Or I can tell someone, take this action or you're going to miss out on 5K a month. Chances are 99% of the people will move faster to save that money because they already have them. And it's going to be much more painful for them to lose something. And we have to remember, we are change creators. And how we build leverage, when someone comes into a sales conversation to find out more information, at the end of the day, what are they looking out for? They have some questions and they want the price, right? How we build leverage during that process is through the ethical use of pain that they already have. I'm not going to inflict pain, right, as someone trying to sell them something, but the only way for me to create leverage is if I'm able to pull the pain that they have and show them that actually they're going to stay with all this pain in their situation unless they make a change. If I don't help them create a change, there is no sale. If they don't accept that change, I'm not going to sell them. So what needs to be in place for nightmare questions, for consequence questions to work? Number one, we have to agree with the prospect that they have a problem exists. Number two is the more meaningful and the more measurable the problem, the easier it will be for me to ask nightmare questions to help them see that cost of inaction. Getting someone to say that they're missing out 10,000 a month in revenue is much more powerful than, yes, I know I'm losing an opportunity. Like the more they can see what they're missing out in terms of money, in terms of time, in terms of energy, all these are currencies, right? It's not just about money. It's about the time, it's about the money, it's about energy, it's about identity, right? Are they missing out in their identity? How are they looking at themselves? Number four is reputation. This is an important side note. Like these are all currencies I can build cost of inactions with. So time, identity, reputation, money, energy. Then number three, that something that needs to be in place for nightmare questions to work is I need to have a clear understanding, and they also have to have a clear idea around a present reality, where they are today, what's their hell state, is what I call, and what's their heaven state, like where do they ideally want to go, where do they want to be? If I'm able to get them to say those things, that will create a natural gap between where they are and where they want to go. And the final thing that we need to have in place for the questions to land is awareness of the solution having the potential to solve the problem. I'm going to say it again because it's important. An awareness of the solution having the potential, they don't need to be certain at this stage because you haven't presented, but they at least need to be aware that the solution has the potential to solve their problem. Otherwise, they're going to have too much doubt to answer the nightmare question, to get a meaningful answer to it. Now, what causes nightmare questions to fail? But we have a resistance, people are not replying to it, they're not responding, I'm not getting essentially what I want. Number one is we don't have an agreed upon problem. So I'm either trying to find problems where they don't exist, or we haven't agreed that they have a problem overall. Number two is the problem isn't meaningful to them or measurable. So if it's too small of a problem, I don't have enough leverage to ask a nightmare question. It's not going to land. Number three is I have created sales resistance, or I don't have good rapport with the prospect, and they're all, closed off, like they're trying to more defend themselves rather than ask questions. Another reason is lack of verbal dexterity, finesse, or proper tonality on how we ask that question. We have nightmare questions that are so powerful. They are as if we're wielding a sharp tool. So imagine you being a surgeon. We need to use them with the precision of a surgeon for the question to land. If we start acting like a butcher, it's not going to land. And it's going to turn ugly because it can create sales resistance. So we're going to look at exactly how we ask and what we ask. Another reason that causes the nightmare question to fail is lack of a clear gap that they can see, but also over-engineering it. So if I beat around the bush too much, and a key part is if I have fear in asking the nightmare question, I'm passing all that fear to the prospect. We have to realize that. So if I'm not consistent here and I go from a confident individual to start being fearful to ask the nightmare question, and I'm over-engineering it, I'm over-explaining it before I ask it, I'm going to create fear, doubt in the prospect's mind. Now, let's move into the actual question. The question is very simple. It's actually much, much simpler to ask the question, like, what do I say? It's much simpler than most people think. It's just that the timing has to be right, and I have to set the stage appropriately in order for the question to land. So I have to ask that's the basic structure. What happens if you don't make a change and you stay where you are? That's one version. Version number two, and I'm giving you the generics, but we're going to get much more specific. What are the ramifications of you not making a change? Or I can also ask, what are you going to miss out on if you stay the same? So this is the template of the question, but let's go deeper. What it does is this drums up intense urgency for them to take action. So if we do a good job here, we're making it practically impossible for them not to ask for your help to fix their challenges. In terms of how do we ask the question, and I want to make it visual, it won't be the perfect drawing, of course. I don't possess the talent, but I wanted to have in your mind a specific way, right? So if I'm thinking about how the emotional temperature of a call, in the present reality, it's not overly emotional, it's a straight line, right? As I'm starting to find problems, I'm obviously taking a dip, right? Because things are becoming negative, I'm starting uncovering problems, they're becoming more vulnerable, and I'm starting to attach costs to all those problems that they have. Then we're building it up the heaven, right? So we're gonna have an emotional high point. I'm getting people excited. I'm helping them build heaven in their mind. What do they want to achieve? What are they going to get out of them? What does life look like in heaven? What does that person, what does this person turn into? Like, what's that person's next version? So by default, I'm getting them into a high place. Nightmare question should feel like a slap. Like from that stage, I'm slapping them down essentially, and I'm pulling them below the problem state here, like the emotional state of a problem. I'm dragging them even lower. That's why we call it nightmare stage. Essentially, I'm painting future pain, right? And I want them to realize that if they don't make a change, it's going to get much, much worse. That's why, from an emotional temperature point of view, I have to drag them deeper. Now, I want you to notice the better job I do in these points here, when it comes to hell and heaven, I'm building this clear gap, right? Is that clear to everyone? And the higher I'm able to build them up, the harder the fall. This diagram here, it shows them clearly the gap, and they also realize like how far away they're gonna fall. So if I don't do a good job in heaven state, I'm not gonna have also enough leverage. Their fall will be much, much softer, right? Quick example would be someone is making 5,000 a month. I'm giving you a money example because it's the easiest. Someone is making 5,000 a month. If I only get them to a place where they're making 6, right? It's not gonna change their life in an insane way. So then if I ask a consequence question, I'm not gonna have enough leverage, like it will be a very soft fall. So by default, no matter the tonality I use, no matter how expertly I ask the question, it's not gonna land because I haven't built enough leverage at that stage. Is everyone with me? This is super important for everyone to get right, because again, it's not just about the words that I'm using, it's about the timing and what I do leading up to that question. Any questions? We have more stuff to cover, but any questions up to this point, because this is important. Let's get into more specific. If you want to type out a question, I'm going to answer it. But when I'm asking a nightmare question, it's super important that I am plugging in things that they told me before. So if during the call I have uncovered that they're getting sales objections, they can't get people to show up on the call, they're missing out on 5,000 a month in income. If I just ask them, well, what happens if you don't make a change and you stay where you are with your income? That's the baseline question. It's not going to land as well. If I want to make it very powerful and potent, I'm going to ask them, well, what happens if you don't make a change and you keep getting think about it objections, you keep getting 3 to 5 no-shows every single week, and you're not making that 5,000 you could be making in the next 2, 4, even 6 months? I don't know, even the next year. Which version is more powerful and relevant for them? I want you to see that just by this question, just by adding 3 to 4 more words, I'm showing them that I'm on their side of the table because I'm listening to them. I know exactly how they feel, and this gives me all the leverage I need, not just to get answers here, but also to objection handle at the end, because it can be as simple as re-asking a nightmare question if I really make it land. Let's talk about augmenting nightmare. This is something that I can use some language patterns to make the nightmare question land much better. Now, this is a little bit advanced. I want to warn you. If you haven't found yourself successfully implementing nightmare questions yet, I would suggest making the basic structure work that I've given you so far and then starting to implement these things. But let's move into something more advanced. Here's how we augment the nightmare question. is when I say our best opportunity for success is when we explore failure. And it's a difficult thing to do. For most people to explore it, it's difficult to accept because it's a reality that most people don't want to really experience. They don't want to really visualize. But the top 1% of people, or the people who are action takers, actually explore it and recognize it, so they know what to avoid. Another question, if you're selling more coaching services or consultant services, or you're an expert at what you do, you can pretty much tell them, as a consultant, as your coach, or as coaches, it's our responsibility not just to tell you, what does success look like, but also failure. So we stay away from it. Are you with me when I say that? So I'm getting permission. They're saying yes. And now, because I'm asking them the nightmare question, which dives them deep into failure and what does failure looks like, this opens them up essentially to answer it. A simpler way to roll into it is simply ask, and I know you mentioned that right now you don't really have a strategy that's working right now and don't have a plan B to fix it. So have you considered the possible ramifications of you not making a change, and you keep getting those objections, you don't have enough leads to talk to, and you're not able to increase your revenue in the next 2, 4, even, 12 months? Another version that you can use to augment nightmare is, the funny thing is about humans is that we run away from things that we don't want, like we run away from pain much faster than towards pleasure. Would you agree with that? Oh, yeah, for sure. So for you, if we are to wrestle with failure a little bit, what happens if you don't make a change? You keep getting, that resistance on your calls, and you keep losing sales because of those objections in the next I'm going to give you a fourth version. And listen, Chris, part of my job here is to play devil's advocate. So if we dare to dream of success, we need to have a real look at failure. So we stay away from it and we're prepared for it. And then you ask the nightmare question. So again, just to make it clear for everyone, these are things that I'm saying before the nightmare question comes to make it land smoother. These are kind of like bridge phrases between the heaven state and the gap question that we've seen before, right into nightmare. Is this clear for everyone? Simple, but not the simplest thing to pull off during a call. Cool. Let's look at, I have some more language patterns here. So, and this is something that, you can use, you use it pretty much to augment nightmare as well. So if you put Usain Bolt in the starting line, he's gonna run towards glory and fame pretty darn fast, right? Now, tell him that he's gonna get a medal at the end of it, and he's gonna run even faster. But I bet you, Chris, like if we put a hungry lion or a pack of hungry lions behind him, he's probably gonna smash the world record, right? Why do you think that is? Well, because the cost of failure is much higher. He gets eaten up. Right. So are you open to exploring failure just for us to know what are we running away from? Like, what are you running away from? Well, what does You ask the nightmare question. Another simpler version is, now, you don't strike me as a person who uses hope as a strategy. I'm sure you're not a fan of the drug hopium at all. So have you considered the ramifications of failure? Like, have you considered the ramifications of you not being able to? And you ask the nightmare question. So this is how we augment nightmare. We're gonna look at, when people say, I'll never allow that to happen, and they are resistant to nightmare questions, But let's talk about augmenting the nightmare if it's clear to everyone and anyone has any questions around augmenting that nightmare. Make sure it packs a punch. I don't see any hands up, so I'm gonna keep going. So sometimes if I don't do a good job when I'm asking the question, or sometimes people may have misplaced beliefs, right? Or they may be a little bit more stubborn. And they may reply to the nightmare question with something like, oh, I'll never allow that to happen. It won't happen to me, right? And they simply reject the nightmare question. And there is that resistance. There is that awkward moment in the call where I just asked them something and I didn't get what I wanted out of it, right? So here's what I can say. I'll say, can I be real with you? Yes. I'm getting permission always because I'm about to slap them around a little bit. So can I be real with you, Chris? Yeah. Now you say you won't let it happen, and you are going to for sure fix the problem in the next 6 months. But based on what you mentioned, we already have had challenges for the past 5 months. Like if I asked you, I don't know, 3 months ago, I bet you would have said, oh, I'll fix it for sure. So why are we here? That's all you need to do, right? And now you're having that conversation then and there and get them to accept that, hey, I need to change. If you don't have that conversation, you're going to get an objection and you're going to lose the sale. Because that person cannot imagine a reality that is actually going to fail. So he only sees success as an option. And the danger with that is he doesn't need you, right? Like, why is he buying? To avoid failure or to move faster? But if he feels that he can get as fast as they want, and they're gonna get there for sure, they have zero need for you. Let's look at another version. So, someone says, yeah, I'll never allow that to happen. I'm gonna get after it. This is what I'm doing exactly. I'm telling them, and I don't question your tenacity, or I have no doubt you're an action taker. May I share a concern though? My main concern for you is we throw two people in a river. One can swim and one can't. One is going to get to the other side and one drowns. Now, did the guy that drowned, did he not want to survive? No, it's because he didn't have the right process, right? He didn't have the skills to swim to the other side. So if, based on our discussion, if you don't have the right process to get to the other side, what's going to happen? And I let them sit with that thought, right? So I'm using an analogy here as the vehicle to readjust their belief around, hey, I don't have the process for this. And I'm getting them to realize that, hey, I need to make a change. Otherwise, I'm going to drown. Let's look at another version. And yeah, as we've discussed, they have a false belief that they'll get to where they want to go no matter what. They have what we call a heuristic. So that's an ingrained pattern of behavior that doesn't change unless we challenge that belief. And that's why I told you earlier, this is a conversation that we need to have then and there. Because if you drop your price, if you tell them the investment, you have zero leverage at that point. And they're going to give you a think about it objection. The call is going to end. And what's going to happen is they're going to go, I don't know, to bed, or they're going to go wherever. And they're just going to feel like, hey, I can do this on my own. Why should I pay this guy $5,000 or 10 grand or $10? I don't care. So here's another language pattern that you can use. Can I be real with you, Chris? Now, you say you won't let it happen, and you will, we reviewed that. What didn't we review? Okay. So here's another way to pivot this. So someone says, oh, we will get there for sure. I have no doubt. I simply bounce back and say, will you? You can just say that. And now they're going to start trying to justify that belief that they have. And then what you say is, well, it's been a year or already. Why do you feel it would change anytime soon without making a change? Like, where's that coming from? What got us, from A to B won't necessarily, get us from B to C, right? So help me understand. If you have all the skills, if you have the process, and if you're 100% certain that you'll get to where you want to go, why aren't you there yet? One important distinction for everyone is I am not telling them anything. I'm not telling them those things. I'm asking them those things, right? I cannot break a belief by bashing someone over the head. They're just gonna close up even more and they're gonna go away. That's why everything we do, no matter which language pattern you use, it's formed as a question. And I'm always getting permission to challenge them. So I'm able to break that belief. Otherwise, I'm gonna go nowhere fast. Like, I have to make sure that I'm doing it with permission first, and then I'm wrapping it up with a question. And that's how you check if you actually broke that belief or they're just nodding along and they're just agreeing with you to present with your price or whatever you have. That summarizes the nightmare questions. What I'd like to highlight is, again, for the nightmare question to work, we need to have an agreement that the problem exists. It needs to be meaningful and measurable. We need to have a clear established gap between present reality and heaven state. And we need to have an awareness of the solution having the potential to solve their problem. Otherwise, they will default to their current way of doing things. And that, again, will get them nowhere. So let's open the floor for questions. That's the idea when it comes to creating urgency with nightmare questions. And of course, this doesn't include everything that you'll do in that, nightmare phase, because you might have rebuttals, you might need to throw in some reframes, but I gave you some tools on what to say before you ask the question, how to ask the question, and also how to help them get back into the mindset of, I need to make a change. So let's open it up for questions, concerns, doubtful points. Richard, please.
It looks like, do you say heaven first and then go into nightmare?
Always.
Always heaven, then nightmare.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Well, that's what I have here. Good.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, I need to have all that leverage from the heaven state, build them up here. So the slab from the nightmare question is so much harder. And they're not just...
You know what?
Please.
Go ahead.
No, and they're not just going to... Because I want them to realize that they're not just missing out what they have in place during present reality. I want them to realize that they're missing out on all of this from the heaven. Makes sense?
On the heaven, I say, well, let's pretend you come in here, we do the adjustments, we do the massage,
yep.
We give you exercises and you feel great. How would that make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
So is there any way that we could keep them in heaven a little longer with that? Should I keep them in heaven a little longer? And
yeah, you want to make sure
keep them in heaven.
You want to make sure that you're getting an emotional answer. You're not getting, oh, I'm gonna feel better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
How does that look like for you though? Like, how's life different? You being able to be pain-free, you're able to bend over again, you're gonna be able to pick up your child, how's life different than maybe it is today?
So put that down. How would life be different? Stay in heaven a little bit, because sometimes they're saying, "Oh, that'll be great."
Great. I'm gonna, I'm gonna get pizza for takeaway. That'll be great too. Are we talking about the same thing here?
Yeah.
And great means different things to different people, right? So what's great for you?
Able to do this. What were you able to do? So try to stay in heaven. They want to jump out of heaven real fast.
Yeah, but I want to go deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need to be in heaven 5 minutes, right? But I want to get them to a point where they actually like you being pain-free. What does it actually do for you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm able to play this again. I'm able to do that again. I'm able to, I won't have to miss out on work, or I won't have to go to buy pills every week.
Yeah.
There's always something. There's always more to the story.
All right. So just try to dig a little deeper.
Absolutely. Any other questions we want clarified?
Hey, Chris.
Joe, what's up?
Oh, not too much, man. How you doing?
Good.
The last point here on what needs to be in place for it to work. So you have an awareness of the solution having the potential to solve their problem. And I know this nightmare comes towards the end of this process, but before the presentation. So I'm just kind of curious about how we, and I don't know if this would be, specific to my situation, but how do you create that awareness?
Yeah. During that heaven awareness state, when I'm asking them in particular, do you know what you would be looking for?
Okay, so it's
yeah.
So it's about creating a potential solution in their minds, but not my specific solution. Yeah.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense.
Because I don't want to get them to a state where they're necessarily completely hopeless, right? Because I may present them with a solution, and then there might be so much doubt in their minds, and this happens not with every prospect, but with some prospects. So much doubt, so much despair that they don't see a way out. Not with your solution, not with any solution, right? So I want to get them, it goes back to what we were discussing with the gap checkpoint, is I don't want to push them so far to a hopeless stage. Now, in your industry, I don't feel it's going to happen that easily. But yeah, I mean, a lot of prospects, they can become hopeless, especially if they've tried different solutions. They've tried 10 different solutions. Oh, we've been through 10 different software, they all suck. I've been through 10 chiropractors, they all suck. And they're hopeless, right? So they're not aware that there is an actual solution for me out there. So I need to be able to communicate with them or to help them understand that, okay, what does a solution actually look like? Well, I would need this, I would need that, I would need that, I would need, that. And they don't have to have all the answers. That's why I use the terminology or the word awareness. They don't need to know the solution. I just want them to, that there's awareness that a solution has the potential of solving their problem.
Right.
How I'm getting them to certainty is by doing a nice presentation, 3 to 5 minutes, and I ask the decision question. That's where all the certainty is created, and we need to be at 100 at that stage.
Right. Got it. Okay, cool. That makes sense. Thanks.
Cool. Absolutely. Any other questions? It doesn't have to be only about nightmare. Bring me a scenario you want to help with. I'm here. You want help with? I'm here for you. Richard, please.
Okay, so last week we were talking about the close.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I kind of took all your stuff and I've written my own close, but I want to go past you, see if it's. I'm
Yeah.
starting to memorize it, but I said, oh, I better wait and just see if this is good.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so we say, do you feel like this is something that you're looking for? And they say, yeah. You say, okay, why though?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so let's go over by step, chiro massage exercises. And they say, okay, is there anything that you could think of why this would not work for you? And they say, no. Perfect. So we're going to concentrate on your health. And then I go into the insurance and the visit limits. Usually takes 20 to 24 visits.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, well, this is where you say, most of my clients get their money back. And I say, well, most of my patients get better in about 12 to 15 visits.
Mm-hmm.
And then, now typically the next step is to take care of the investment and book a series of visits. We take cash, credit card. Is that appropriate for you, or where would you like to go from here? So that's question one.
Mm-hmm.
So is that close?
Yeah, so a series of visits. I don't know what that means. Am I paying for the 10 visits, for the 24?
Yeah, that's for cash. But if you got insurance or you have a health savings account, I can't really bang at. So, everybody's different. I'm trying to get a cash plan. Only if they say they don't have
On the
insurance.
cash plan, on the cash plan.
Yeah.
So how many visits would that be?
I am trying to push this up to 20 visits for 1,000.
So you need to be specific.
Okay, yeah. I am specific. Yeah, I do. Okay, what we could do if you have cash,
Mm-hmm.
it's 20 visits.
No. No, if you have cash, I'm just gonna
No insurance.
tell them how my process works. It's not conditionals, right?
Okay,
I'm a professional. This is my business.
this is my price.
This is my price. This is my process. Here's how it works.
Yep, $70 a visit.
Yeah, typically the next step is, no, you're gonna tell them the price. You're not gonna, so give me your package, right? The package that you want to use. Don't give them a price per visit.
Okay, here's my package.
Mhm.
Typically my visits $70 a visit.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend 20 visits. That's $1,400.
Mm-hmm.
And now for today, I'll give you a cash discount of 20 visits for $1,000. So that's a $400 savings.
Yep.
Okay. Then I go, typically the next step is to take care of the investment, and we can book a series of visits to help you. That was the next step.
Here's
Then
here's something that you can test, because it's too much compact into a few sentences, right? So you can say, okay, so what's needed for you to alleviate your pain and do X and Y and Z is the X, let's say, is 10 series, or I would recommend for you to alleviate your pain and become pain-free, 10 visits. Now, typically 10 visits is $70.
700.
And yeah, whatever. So 700. And if you're willing to commit, if you're ready to commit to the full treatment right away, you'll receive a discount.
Okay.
I can plug in. Is that doable for you? Just a quick test, right?
Right. Is that doable? Is that appropriate? Whatever.
Is that doable for you? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Typically, the next step is we take care of the investment, credit or debit card, whatever works best, and we'll book you in for the next visit, and you do this, and you do this, and you do this. Does that make sense for you, or where would you like to go from here, or how would you like to proceed?
Yeah. And then after question one, they have the objections. I wrote all the objections down. Budget, time, partner.
Yep.
Think about it.
Yep.
Okay. Then question two, is, are you against implementing any of my solutions to help you? Because that is your question too.
Yeah, I want you to, we need to change the language a little bit because it's a little bit generic, right? I can say, so would you be opposed to signing up for the treatments so we can actually heal you, or so we can actually alleviate your pain? That's all you need to say.
Okay, so that's my question too. Are you opposed to signing up for my treatments?
Yeah, are you opposed to signing up for the treatments or for the treatment package so you can, or so we can get rid of the pain?
Okay.
Not for my solutions, right?
Well, even with but no, I'm listening to you. But I was saying, okay, well, solutions. I could sit there and I say, okay, they'll come. Solution means you come to my follow-up visits, and you listen to me on you know what I mean, when I give you these exercises, you must do them, or people don't get better. So I kind of do try to hammer them there, but I could change that.
Yeah, I mean, that's not bad. But that's why I say treatment package. So the treatment package can be the visits, the exercises, massages, everything in between.
Yeah. Hold on. So you say it again. Are you opposed to her? Are you opposed to say that again? What's my question too?
Yeah, so you don't objection handle, and then how you ask for the sale is with a no frame question. So are you opposed to signing up for the treatment package so we can get to work, get rid of the pain?
Yeah. Okay. Then the question, it seems like question 3 was, so it does make sense to get started so we could start helping you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that makes sense for you to get started. So we can,
Okay, good. So how did I do pulling all that out? I mean, just that pretty good.
yeah, pretty good.
All right, good. Thank you. So so I can start memorizing this.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. What else, ladies and gents? Going once, going twice. Cool. Well, I believe this is gonna get you more sales as long as we implement it. And yeah, I'm wrapping up the community. I'll onboard probably 3 more folks. So if you want more hands-on help from me, one-on-one access to chats during your calls, during your objection handlings, more advanced stuff, more group calls, reach out. I'll send you the details. We can chat if it makes sense. Otherwise, next Sunday, keep me posted.
Thanks,
See you.
Chris.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Thank you.